Welcome to this explainer. If you've ever been to a major sporting event or even just watched one from your couch, you've probably noticed it. The sheer scale of the military presence, right? From the camouflage uniforms on the sidelines to those deeply emotional halftime salutes, the military is just totally woven into the fabric of American sports. So today, we're going to look under the hood of this relationship. We're diving into some fascinating research from the Watson Institute, along with a pretty revealing congressional report to understand exactly how military rituals get integrated into U.S. sporting events. And, more importantly, we'll see how this whole setup drives recruitment, fuels massive branding campaigns, and ultimately normalizes the narrative of war in our everyday lives. Let's get into it. So, why exactly did a massive military flyover kick off the 2023 season for the Super Bowl champs in Kansas City? Well, think about it. It's a moment literally designed to give you goosebumps. The national anthem reaches its peak, the crowd goes absolutely wild, and then suddenly, this huge military aircraft roars right overhead. But the Watson Institute sources point out that this isn't just some spontaneous display of patriotism. It's actually a highly strategic maneuver. The military could run its training flights literally anywhere, over empty deserts, over the ocean, but they actively choose to fly over packed sports stadiums. And what's truly staggering here is the sheer scale of what we're talking about. $2 billion. That number represents the manufacturing cost of the single B-2 bomber that flew over the stadium in Kansas City. It's actually known as the most expensive plane in the world. Now, showcasing a piece of equipment with a $2 billion price tag to millions of screaming fans, that is a profound statement. It cultivates this massive emotional rush, blending the hype of a blockbuster game with a deep reverence for military hardware. Now, this practice didn't just pop up overnight. If we trace the history back, the first official military flyover during a sporting event actually took place way back at Chicago's Comiskey Park during the 1918 World Series. But for decades after that, they were actually pretty rare. It really wasn't until the events of September 11, 2001, that these flyovers became a regular, highly anticipated emotional spectacle. The sources highlight that this shift wasn't an accident. It was a concerted effort to heighten patriotic fervor and really deepen societal attachment to the armed forces during a time of global conflict. Section 1. The business of branding. Profiting from patriotism. Because, as we'll see, praising the armed forces isn't just about goodwill. It is undeniably good for business. Associating a sports league with the military is just incredibly lucrative. Take the NFL's annual Salute to Service campaign, for example. Now, while it absolutely does raise millions for military charities, it also generates massive retail revenue. Just consider the soaring prices of the military-themed merchandise in the official team shops. Fans are super eager to drop almost $200 on an Arctic camo jersey, or, get this, an astonishing $2,800 for a camouflage helmet signed by Tom Brady. The branding creates this really powerful aesthetic that fans just eagerly buy into. And trust me, the corporate world knows exactly how effective this is. The Watson Institute actually noted a pretty striking statistic about television advertising during these games. They found that a military-themed commercial for USAA Insurance, the one featuring former NFL star Rob Gronkowski, was 915% more likely to engage viewers than your average insurance ad airing during the NFL season. 915%. When you wrap a brand in military imagery during a sports broadcast, audience engagement just absolutely skyrockets. But make no mistake, this definitely isn't just an NFL phenomenon. Though, obviously, football's massive audience, we're talking over 123 million people watching the 2024 Super Bowl at home, makes it the prime stage. But really, almost every major sporting league and athletic brand profits from this military nexus. The NBA runs Hoops for Troops, the NHL hosts Navy-sponsored Veterans Appreciation Nights, and even sportswear giants like Under Armour sponsor the Department of Defense Warrior Games. It's just a ubiquitous strategy across the entire American sporting landscape. Section 2. Targeting recruits. Finding the next soldier. This is absolutely crucial because without a national draft, the U.S. Armed Forces constantly have to find new, innovative ways to fill their ranks. A fascinating example of this strategy is the Air Force's partnership with the Professional Fighters League, or the PFL. The Air Force is actively targeting the PFL's 600 million worldwide fans. And why is that? Well, because MMA fans and athletes represent a highly valued demographic for them. They're young, they prioritize physical and mental fitness, and they totally understand extreme dedication. So the military capitalizes on this by actually holding official swearing-in ceremonies for new Air Force recruits right there inside the MMA ring.
They broadcast that intense moment of commitment to a massive live and television audience. It perfectly aligns the warrior ethos of the sport with the very real needs of military recruitment.
Moving on to Section 3, the price of patriotism, taxpayer-funded tributes. So, for a really long time, fans just assumed teams were honoring the military out of the goodness of their hearts, right? But a 2015 Senate report exposed a totally different reality, one that fundamentally shifted how we understand these pregame ceremonies. A congressional investigation, which was led by Senators John McCain and Jeff Flake, dug deep into Department of Defense advertising contracts with professional sports teams. And what they found was a practice they explicitly dubbed paid patriotism. The investigation found that between 2012 and 2015 alone, the Pentagon spent 53 million U.S. taxpayer dollars to subsidize these sporting events and promotional campaigns. Yeah, you heard that right. The military was literally paying leagues like the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, and MLS to host military appreciation nights, ceremonial first pitches, and even those super emotional welcome home promotions for returning soldiers. The report got incredibly specific, too. They used the Atlanta Falcons as a prime example of what this taxpayer money actually bought from the teams. The Georgia Army National Guard had this detailed contract with the Falcons that outlined exactly what patriotic displays were required in exchange for those government funds. According to the Senate report, those taxpayer-funded perks included surprise meet and greets for soldiers returning from deployment, providing the opportunity for 80 soldiers to hold a giant American flag on the field, and having National Guard flag runners lead the players out of the tunnel. Now, the senators heavily questioned this approach. They asked a really pointed question in their report. If the most compelling recruitment message we can deliver relies on game tickets, VIP suites, and player appearances, do we maybe need to rethink how we inspire men and women to serve? Following this report, the Pentagon actually did agree to ban the direct payment for these specific patriotic tributes. Though, it's worth noting, broader marketing partnerships absolutely still continue today. Section 4. Normalizing militarism, shaping the collective psyche. Because beyond the millions of dollars and the recruitment metrics, there is a really profound societal impact at play here. The Watson Institute argues that maybe the most powerful effect of these sports rituals is that they normalize militarism by framing it as entirely apolitical. Think about it. Wearing camo or cheering for a Support the Troops banner is generally just seen as being a good American, right? It's kind of assumed everyone shares those values. But the research points out that this is actually a deeply political reality. By making military celebration a normal, unquestionable part of watching sports, it actively silences critique. The sources note that when athletes like Colin Kaepernick protest state violence, they face intense backlash to keep politics out of sports. But that ignores the fact that the stadium is, well, already totally saturated with the politics of state military power. By constantly presenting soldiers right alongside star athletes, the military essentially gives fans additional heroes to root for. As researcher Roberto Servant points out, and this is a great quote, "They fight to protect us, we are told. The U.S. military is never portrayed as the aggressor. It's always playing defense." The sources suggest that this narrative actually prevents casual fans from engaging in critical reflection about the deadly realities of war, the treatment of military personnel, and who actually benefits from these global conflicts. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to take a second to reflect on everything we've uncovered today. The next time you see a massive flag unrolled in a football field or a stealth bomber roaring over a stadium, think about those $2 billion price tags. Think about the calculated recruitment strategies targeting MMA fans and the millions of dollars in camo merchandise sales. Look past the spectacle for a minute and ask yourself, who truly benefits when our favorite Sunday pastimes become a stage for normalized militarism? Thanks so much for joining me, and keep questioning the world around you.